Good morning. In the news today, famous writer Joyce Oates dropped dead as a result of an intrusion by a SWAT team executing a no-knock warrant. She was accused of bad writing, and I'm sorry I wrote that letter, but I didn't know that this was going to be the outcome, did I? Oh, look at this. My hair is not so good today. Elsewhere in the news, this is Rick Harsch's masterclass in fiction writing. Today's subject is, where does the writer live in relation to toothpaste here? Policing. The United States is not a good place for the writer to read if they take Joyce Carol Oates' advice and want to live in a place where you're free from no-knock police warrants. Anybody can take out, can make an accusation against you. Bad writing, I didn't think it would work, but, anyway, it did, and the results were tragic. Here in Slovenia, I live in Slovenia. In Slovenia, we have a different kind of cop. They probably have no-knock warrants. They don't have the same. Police standards here, the same standards of liberty. They can get a little pushy and a little grabby here. But you know what? One thing they'd never do is pull out their guns. In fact, here's a fun one for you. In the United States, if you're driving a little too fast, you know what happens? A cop pulls up behind you. Wait, that was a European one. I can't remember how the cops sound there. Anyway, pardon me, while I show you that you can smoke longer in a country without savage police. Here, when the police want to stop a car, they're standing outside of their vehicle, and they have this tiny little stop sign. It's the same size or same shape as your stop sign, a sexagon, I think. Although I don't have any evidence they use it for sexual purposes. But it's about this big, And they have it on a stick, and they just wave it. Stop, stop. And you pull over. If you don't, they call ahead. Probably. I don't know. I always stop. I think that's so cute. It's so cute. And then they come to your, door, and if you're guilty of something, half the time they say, you shouldn't be doing that anymore, so stop it, okay? If it's a mere minor ticket, you almost always get it. But if it's a big thing, except for drunk driving, they're very serious about drunk driving here. A little too serious. You can end up in jail for a long time. And you lose your license. One time, I got a drunk driving in Croatia, and it was right at the border, and all they did was subject me to a bunch of jokes about how lucky I was that they caught me, and the fee was 300 euros, and that if the Slovenes had gotten me, I was really screwed. I'd lose my license for a year, and I'd have to take classes, and on drinking and on driving. And I already know how to drink and drive. What the fuck? I just proved it. Doesn't make sense. So anyway, the thing is, the Croatian cops, they just subjected me to ridicule until I told them that I hadn't eaten all day. And this was nighttime. And they said, oh, that's a problem. You got to have pork, it absorbs the alcohol, Next time, eat a lot of pork. And they were a blast. They were really fun. And the funniest thing about that whole experience is I still had to get across the Slovene border. And once they were done with me, took about an hour, because they told me to pull over and wait for local cops. That took a while. Then when the local cops came, I was drinking a beer, and, they wouldn't join me with the drinking, but we had a hell of a time. We talked, we laughed, we joked. And the biggest joke was this: be careful going across the Slovene border, because you're still drunk. Yeah, that's right. They took away my license gave me my keys and said, "Okay, go home." And so I had to drive past the Slovenes drunk and behaving as if I were sober. But I'd already tried that with the Croatians, and they caught me. But the Slovenes didn't, and I got home, and I don't remember. I was so drunk I passed out in a park. But different police. Another time, I was drunk and behaving violently at a outdoor cafe, a wine shop, wine bar, and I was with a recidivist criminal who was a violent man, but he loved me, and we were good friends. And the cops were called because I had um, done some swearing and wiped out a table of glasses. And the cops came, and they came to this area, the center of town. That they had a big van they could barely fit into the square. They pulled up, and two giant cops, well-built giant cops, came up to me, and they saw my friend, who they knew well. "Oh, Penko, hey, how are you? What did you do this time?" He said, "No, it was Rick, my friend Rick." And the cop said, "Oh yeah, well, what's going on?" And Penko said, "Nothing. It's over. It's over. It's over." And the cop said, "Okay, move on then." And we went home. Nothing happened at all. No ticket, no lecture, no beatings, no nothing. The cops were giant. Who would fuck with them? I don't even know if they had guns. I don't remember, because they didn't. They probably didn't remember either. I've never seen a cop pull a gun here. A security guard pulled a gun once. I was really angry because the street in front of our house is runs right along the sea, and you get technically you can legally walk in the middle of the street, ride a bike in the middle of the street. Restaurants are on this side of the street, and on the sea side of the street they have tables. So waiters and waitresses are constantly crossing the street, and it's a very dangerous thing when people zoom by. The speed limit is 10 kilometers an hour, but people regularly drove fast, and I got in the habit of throwing things at cars. I wrote an essay in the local paper called "A Call to Eggs." Thing, from now on, everybody in Isola should arm themselves with eggs. And I got a lot of people, strangers would come up to me and say, "Thank you, that was really a great thing you wrote." But nobody actually got eggs. So one day I was drinking at a bar on the far side of the street, and I decided, after a bunch of people drove by really fast, I decided I'm going to get some eggs. There's a grocery store very close. I went and got a dozen eggs. First one that drove by was one of my nemesis. He owns a restaurant further down, and he always drives really fast in this big slant back tank-like vehicle. And I nailed his car. Next one came by really fast, had his window down. Bad move. I hit the door frame right at the top, and so the egg went all over him, and he stopped and called the cops right then and there. And the cops came. And they were on my side. They said, but you really can't throw eggs, so we have to give you a fine. But that just got me another article in the newspaper. And eventually they put up an electronic speed control sign, and they put in speed bumps, and it worked. But one day, the security things are really like the security guards who drive around and pick up money from ATM machines. There was one ATM machine in the old town, and it's over there. Not at that far end of the island. So I'm sitting there, and an ATM security vehicle with two people in it drove by really fast, and I jumped up because they got nowhere to go. It's a dead end, but when I got there, they were coming back and coming around a curve, and I got this brilliant idea. to give a jump kick. Keep in mind I'm in my 60s now, but then I was only in my late 50s. It was about 3-4 years ago, and I jump kicked the car and was thrown back. And then I got up and I ran at the car, and because they stopped, like somebody's jumping at us, and I'm banging on the car, and you can't drive that fast, you can't drive that fast. Pochasi, motherfucker, pichko, ti maten a pochasi. And the guy started pulling his gun. And then I had to pee. So I went to the nearest bar, the one I was sitting at. I went and took a pee. And I come out, and somebody working at the bar said, Rick, the cops are here. You might want to go that way. I said, no, I got to talk to them. And I went to the cops, and they wanted to know what happened. And I said, that fucker in there, because, cops get to carry guns. But they don't like it when other people carry guns in this country. There's no Second Amendment. You can get a gun, but... And if I had one, I'd shoot the engine of that vehicle. But you can get a gun under certain circumstances. It's not easy, but you can get one. You can even get a hunting license and go after wild pig and small deer, and hedgehogs. But please don't shoot the hedgehogs. Anyway, I went up to the cops and I said, these people. I was a little drunk, but I was clear in my head. And I said, that fucker, he was going to pull a gun. He pulled his gun. He had actually pulled his gun, and he was about to point it at me when I moved to the other side to complete the story, and banged on the partner's door. And then I had to pee. And so the cops gave me no fine whatsoever, and in fact gave a lecture for driving too fast to the fucking security guards. They hate security guards who are armed. If you're a security guard, don't wear a gun and the cops will be fine. So, anyway, that's a little story on policing and writing because of the sad story I opened with about Joyce Carol Oates. It'll be in the newspaper, if not today, tomorrow. And remember, no-knock warrants, can really fuck up a writer's paragraph.